Hello, in this video I shall be discussing about ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization. So this is a space agency of India. It is formed in the year 1969 on August 15th. It is headquartered at Bangalore and ISRO is working under Department of Space. So Department of Space is under Government of India, which is formed in 1972. So ISRO was working even much before this Department of Space is formed. So this is in 1969. Department of Space came up in 1972. ISRO has got a chairman. The present chairman of it is Shivan. K. Shivan is our present chairman. To look into the history of ISRO, India started some space program called Indian Space Program in the year in 1960s. So we were concentrating on space in 1960s. So thus India came up with a program which is headed by Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. So Vikram Sarabhai is an important person, and by his name we also have a space center in Kerala, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. So this Indian space program by Vikram Sarabhai was started under INCOSPAR, Indian National Committee for Space Research. So ISRO was not existing then. This INCOSPAR was the parent organization of ISRO. Later this turned to ISRO. So INCOSPAR was working under Department of Atomic Energy. Under Indian Space Program, 3 projects were taken up. Those are satellites for space communication and remote sensing. So building these satellites, and space transport system, developing transport system to space, and application programs. So applying whatever research outcome we get, so into further research and bringing out new innovations. So application programs of this research is its another work. So these 3 works were the major works under Indian Space Program. So after this developed into bringing out the space agency of ISRO in 1969. The vision of ISRO. ISRO, as we know, is a space agency. It has got a vision to use space technology for Indian national development, for our country's development, and apart from this, pursuing space science research and planetary exploration. So space science is the study of space. So doing research in space and spatial matters, and planetary exploration. So also exploring various planets, what resources we have, what good we can get out of them. So all of this research also is being done by ISRO. So as a whole, the vision of ISRO is to harness, that is to harness space technology for national development while pursuing space science research and planetary exploration. This is the vision of ISRO. And ISRO has come up with so many tasks. I've mentioned some tasks here, and the first thing is Indian cyberspace competitions. It is holding some competitions to bring awareness about cyberspace. So cyberspace is what all space, what all atmosphere of internet we have. So we are working around the atmosphere of internet, and that space in which we are working with internet is cyberspace. So it is holding competitions for bringing awareness in students. And EVO applications, Earth observation applications. So we have some observation satellites that are observing Earth, like Cartosat, ResourceSat. So these observation satellites, they bring out some observations, and those observations ISRO is trying to put into applications. And Mars Orbiter mission. This is a very recent mission in which we have come up to look into the Mars resources in the planet of Mars. And climate change over India. So what climatic changes, what trends of climate we are observing on India, we have satellites for this under ISRO. And Navik is about navigation. So navigation satellite of India is Navik. As we have GPS of America for navigation, we have Navik for India, which is exclusively to navigate India only. So Navik. And space science. So what all study of space, planets and stars, moon, and all such extraterrestrial things we read in space science. And disaster management. ISRO is coming up with some satellites that are working like early warning systems, that we are going to have a disaster, floods or whatever, weather disasters. So we have such satellites which warn us, like RESAT, and so many other satellites. So this disaster management of work is also being done by ISRO. And timeline, ISRO provides updates from time to time in its website and also for the awareness of public. So public must be aware of the works of ISRO and all the observations it is bringing. So in view of public, it is bringing out some timelines to update us. And these are some tasks of ISRO and the objectives of ISRO. I have mentioned 5 objectives. The first is design and develop satellites. So it will bring this research of designing and development of satellites and launch vehicles. So satellites must be launched through launch vehicles. And bringing technology into Earth observation. So we saw here about Earth observation technology or satellites. So bringing technology into observing Earth more clearly, and technology in communication, technology in navigation. We have seen about Navik here. So navigation and meteorology. So meteorology is dealing with weather forecasting. So trends of weather. So it is dealing with meteorology and space science. We have seen this. Space science is study of space. So it is dealing with these things and bringing new technologies in these aspects. And next objective is Insat, Indian National Satellite, for telecommunication and tele-broadcasting. So for these two aspects, it is coming up with this objective of Insat, developing Insat. And for developing IRS, Indian Remote Sensing System. So we have this system under which we have satellites that probe into natural resources, that look into natural resources of India, and also this is dealing with environment. So we have IRS for this. And societal development, overall ISRO brings out some social development things also, like telemedicine and tele-education. So these days we are able to communicate to doctors and hospitals that are far. So this is to communicate the patient with the doctor who is very far. That means if a rural person needs some medical treatment, he can communicate with his doctor who is very far. So this telemedicine, for this reason also it is bringing these projects of telemedicine. This is for societal development. And we'll see some achievements of ISRO. In the year 1967, India came up with its first Indian-made satellite. That was not with ISRO, that was with INCOSPAR. As we have seen here, INCOSPAR, the parent organization of ISRO. So INCOSPAR came up with its first satellite, that is first Indian-made satellite of Rohini 75 in the year 1967. However, it was not launched, it was just made and kept like that. And later in 1975, we had our first Indian launched satellite. So Indian launched satellite is Aryabhatta. So this was by ISRO. And in 1980, we had SLV-3, satellite launch vehicle, first Indian built launch vehicle. And from 1988 to 2000, in this big period, we came up with so many things like Indian National Satellite, Indian Remote Sensing, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, and Geosynchronous Launch Vehicle. So these are some major projects. And in 2008, we came up with Chandrayaan. This is the first lunar mission of India. So going on to moon, Chandrayaan 1. And in 2014, this is a remarkable year, we had Mangalyaan satellite launched around Mars. So Mars Orbiter mission, we saw about MOM. So Mars, that is Mars Orbiter mission. As a part of this project, we launched Mangalyaan on Mars orbit. So by this, India became the first country to put a satellite on Mars orbit in its very first attempt. And also India became the fourth space agency, ISRO became the fourth space agency in the world to put a satellite on around the Mars orbit. And India became the first country. So this is ISRO has become the first Asian space agency to do so. Among all the countries of Asia, we are the first to do such a thing of Mangalyaan around Mars. And in 2017, this is a world record that India launched 104 satellites in a single launch time. And this is by GSLV Mark III launch satellite, heaviest of all we have right now. And in 2019, we launched Chandrayaan 2 second lunar exploration. This is partially successful. We are also coming up with future projects like Gaganyaan, human spaceflight, and interplanetary probes and solar missions. So these are our future tasks to take by ISRO, and this is how it is all about ISRO. And thank you.